Good afternoon, everyone. Happy New Year. Welcome to 2025. We're very excited to have you join
Yeah,
us.
he may. I don't know.
If you all can please keep your uh, volume on mute, please do. If you'd like to have any questions, put them in chat. We'll definitely have some Q&A opportunity for you all to uh, share or ask any questions along the way. But please keep it on mute when you can. And we are so excited to welcome you all to 2025. It's a great year to be in Kentucky. We will have a conversation today first with adult education. We'll have Dr. Gregory and Dr. Taylor share the latest information on the funding opportunity that's coming from their office. And then I will go over a year in review for 2024 for the Kentucky Workforce Innovation Board and look at the future of 2025 and beyond. As an introduction, my name is Alishir Barukanoff. I'm the Executive Director of the Kentucky Workforce Innovation Board. We're a 51% business or entity with labor, nonprofit, government, education, all here to serve the interest of increasing workforce development, being able to do more training, more opportunities for individuals to climb and attain a better life for themselves through employment, through credentials, through all the things that the world of work offers them. We couldn't do it without the partner system, without you all dedicating your time and energy to make sure that Kentuckians and the businesses of Kentucky succeed. So very much thank you for the work that you do because we are in it together and our success is your success. And please lean on us whenever you want to. Every month, the first Wednesday of each month at noon, we have these partner spotlights. And so if you have interest in sharing, you think there's something worthwhile that we should highlight later this year, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can reach out to any one of us, me, any of our staff, to say a little more about your program and to kind of get it on the agenda later this year. And with that, I want to start today's partner spotlight with adult education. I'll turn it over to Dr. Gregory and Dr. Taylor to share their latest. And after their presentation, please don't feel discouraged to ask any questions because we want to create the environment for exchange of ideas and for you all to walk away with something useful. So with that, I'll turn it over to my colleagues.
Thank you so much, sir. So happy New Year to everyone. So my name is J.C. Gregory. I'm the Executive Director for the Office of Adult Education. So I'm going to be extremely brief. I'm going to tell you the reason why we are doing this is not because I say so, it's because it's what the federal law says. So Section 231 of the Workforce Law, so as of 2014, states that each state is to conduct a multi-year grant competitive process. And in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, we have traditionally, from a multi-year standpoint, that has been defined as 3 years. So what we're doing right now is we are in the midst of a competitive competition that will be for fiscal years 2026 through 2028. Now, just to kind of shape the conversation, and I always like to take the opportunity to socialize exactly what a adult education is. It's not a GED program. The GED is a component of what we do. It is a workforce development program. The primary purpose of a adult education and family literacy is to equip persons with the knowledge and skills for employment and for self-sufficiency. That is the primary purpose of a adult education. Now, it also includes so those individuals and across the Commonwealth of Kentucky, the most current data, we have approximately 289,000 fine Kentuckians that have not completed the high school process. Yes, a big part of what we do is to take them through that process, but it doesn't stop there. Our job is to transition them into post-secondary and employment. We also are engaged in the language learning business for new folks that are coming to this country, as well as the Commonwealth. That is a primary component of our mission. And last but certainly not least, workforce participation and workplace training. Once again, we come back to employment. We prepare folks, we set the conditions for them to be successful and to gain employment and or better employment. That is what we do. So, the young lady who will follow me has spearheaded this process, and she has done a wonderful job in setting the conditions for success. So I will close my mouth and turn it over to Dr. Jamie Taylor. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. I hope you all can hear me. I'm going to get my screen share set up. Give me just a second. And we are going to go to presentation mode so you all can actually see what's on these slides. So forgive me. Today, because of all the information that I want to share with you all about this process, I have gone away from the only 20 words on a slide, mostly because I was afraid I wasn't going to actually be able to share the website itself with you. I'm actually going to share real quick at the very end of my presentation where all of this lives online, so you can follow along from there. But this first slide here actually comes directly from the public website on our kyae.ky.gov website. Right at the top, you will see a big green button that says Request for Application. That takes you to a page that reads just like this. This is our official announcement that, as Dr. Gregory said, we are launching the application for AFLA Title II grants for the next 3-year cycle. That is open and actually all available for you all to browse there, but I'm going to give you the quick and dirty of what this really looks like, what the timeline looks like for this time around. And as Dr. Gregory explained, I wrote the application, so I am very aware of all of the steps that have been taken to get to this part and all of the steps that we're going to take to get the best possible providers for our AFLA Title II monies for Kentucky this year. We're very excited about this process. This is very new for me. I'm from the world of higher education, so I am learning as I'm writing this, and hopefully everyone will be sending great feedback. Feel free to stop me and ask questions. But again, this slide here, lots of words, all to tell you this is what's happening. We are doing our Title II grant application, and the timeline is also published there, which I'll show you and go over in a few minutes. My next step is to share a little bit more in detail with you, as Dr. Gregory did, that we are not just a GED program. Yes, adult education maybe traditionally in your mind comes up that they are helping with high school equivalency, folks that maybe are in need of getting that through another avenue outside of the public education system. However, this is directly from 34 CFR 463.30, which is from Title II and AFLA. And this is what our required services are for adult education and family literacy, not just adult education, so much more than that. To give you a little bit of background, a couple of actual personal examples of things that are happening in Kentucky that fall under each of these required services. So adult education and literacy, again, not just what you think of as the GED program, high school equivalency, but any kind of preparedness. If folks are in the process of applying for college, for example, and maybe in a remediation section that needs further support, our folks can provide that information and that support for them. Literacy at all levels. It doesn't matter if someone can't read a single word, doesn't know the alphabet, comes to us, we are there to help them. So those things may be the most basic, adult basic education, adult secondary education, but they are where the AFLA law begins. Next, workplace adult education and literacy activities. An example of something we have like this is several of our providers are working with Amazon. They work with a local employer, provide milestones that the employer needs to either upskill their current employees or train new employees. And we provide that workplace literacy. We provide the support and the contextualized help to get them upskilled to the place they need to be for their new workplace or their continuing workplace. Family literacy activities can be anything from a full 4-part family literacy program helping the whole family, the child, the adult learner, the parent skills, and even just a simple partnership with a local library and giving away books on a family night. Family literacy is all encompassing in that space for AFLA. English language acquisition, as Dr. Gregory mentioned, anyone can come to us just as they can for initial literacy, they can come for English language literacy. We can do training and we teach all in English, but we can do it for any and every language learner that there is. It does not matter where they're from. Integrated English literacy and civics education. So this one actually combines that English language acquisition activity and integrated education and training as a pathway, often for our folks that we see that are maybe international professionals that come to us and need a little upskilling in their English language skills, as well as a path into a career. Workforce preparation activities, that's pretty self-explanatory. We are helping folks get work. That is what we do every day, helping them further their education and their career goals to become more economically self-sufficient. So anything we can do to support that, teaching them good workplace practices, teaching them good etiquette when you're in a meeting, teaching them things like how to write a simple resume, or even supporting doing applications for jobs. And finally, integrated education and training. This is when our adult education providers are doing contextualized work while our students are in a training program for a career, whether that is a ServSafe certification to be food handlers and work in a restaurant space, or whether that is a initial welder helper certificate. We provide the adult basic education and contextualized work to help support them get through those initial certifications on a career pathway. So all of these things are encompassed in adult education, and all of these things are what we are going to ask the people applying for our new 3-year grant cycle to be able to offer. This are all requirements of our AFLA law. A couple things just about Kentucky in general, because these are the federal requirements. I will let you know that Kentucky does have 26 providers, which we'll break down in a few minutes currently, and we provide these services in all 120 counties. There may not be open adult education centers in every single place, but we do have folks that are providing these services to every single county in our state. And our office, the Office of Adult Education, oversees all of those activities to ensure that they are adhering to the AFLA requirements. We help connect students to post-secondary trainings, apprenticeships, employers and careers, and all types of partnerships, which is why we work so closely with the KWIB and the Department of Workforce Development here, because we all have the same goal, which is to get people upskilled and ready for their new career opportunities. We only serve people over 18, except for in some very, very specific cases. So according to KRS 158.143, we can offer services to a few folks that are not 18, that have either been attending a district alternative school and make a decision to drop out, or are a state, a child of the state. So there are some very, very specific exceptions, but in most cases, we are serving folks that are 18 years or older. And we can serve anybody. Doesn't matter how old you are, 18 plus. And again, we're not just a GED, but a reminder for everybody that that service, among all of these other services that adult education providers are offering, are completely free to anyone that needs them. All you got to do is show up and we'll find the right path for you. So that just gives you a little bit of a background on what I'm talking about when I'm talking about applying for this grant. To give you a little bit more information about the folks that will likely be interested in applying for these grant monies. As I said, we currently have 26 local providers, which I will outline for you in just a moment, but these are the federally eligible providers that can apply and should apply for these monies. So AFLA supports all of these types of organizations to provide their services. And currently in Kentucky, we have a good number of these shown across the providers that we are currently funding. And they can go through the process no matter if they have been providing this service in the past or are wanting to apply as a new local provider. So local education agencies, community-based literacy or faith-based organizations, literacy organizations, institutions of higher education, public and private nonprofits, libraries, public housing authorities, nonprofit institutions that are not above in this list, a consortium, which we have several of here, and a partnership between an employer and one of the entities above. So this is all about, again, getting our folks that need our support, not just that high school equivalency, but the training, the education, the career preparedness that they need to be economically self-sufficient. That is our mission. Here are our current local providers. I know this is a little bit small. That's why I included the nice little scannable here for you all to return to, and I'll show on our website later. We do have contacts for every single one of our 120 counties available on that website. If you scan that QR code there, you can search by your county and find a contact person. Again, all different types of providers are shown here. In Kentucky, in our current grant cycle, we have several KCTCS schools. Almost all of the KCTCS colleges are local providers for us. We currently have one four-year university, which is Morehead State, and then a whole bunch of consortiums and individual cooperatives. So consortiums could be a group of different local school boards, or they could be their own private, like Western Kentucky Educational Cooperative. And of course, we have the Thornhill as our example of one of the nonprofit organizations that provide services for us. So we have a little bit of everything going on here in Kentucky in our current grant cycle, and we hope to continue that, having a myriad of different places for our folks to seek services across our state. All of these institutions are more than capable of providing the services and have been doing a great job. And I'm sure many will continue to do a great job. And because the Office of Adult Education here and the Education and Labor Cabinet oversees all of these different folks, we're pretty lucky actually, because we lie in an cabinet that supports workforce and labor and education all as one, because that is what our Department of Workforce Development is for, to not only provide furthering education, but support to give people what they need in their search for careers, their upskilling for careers, their preparedness for careers, whatever that looks like for them. And I'm sorry, I'm just seeing that the chat has a few things in it, but I don't have it up, so I don't think there's any questions for me yet. So I'm going to keep going, but feel free to unmute and interrupt me at any time. Okay, so a couple quick details about what this application process actually looks like. As Dr. Gregory mentioned, we are on a 3-year cycle here in Kentucky. The only requirement is that it is a multi-year cycle. Here that has been done that way for a long time. So we are applying currently in fiscal year 25 for the next 3 fiscal years. That will start July 1, 25, which will begin fiscal year 26. So it'll run fiscal year 26, fiscal year 27, and fiscal year 28, when they will be again applying for the next grant cycle. Applicants are required to submit the same documentation across the board, which I will be able to show you on our website. Those things include narratives to address the AFLA law and the 13 considerations, budgetary information and details that are necessary to be able to show how the funds will be used, as well as demonstrated effectiveness from their past performance seasons and what those look like. You have to be able to demonstrate effectiveness. It is a requirement of the AFLA law, whether you have been receiving these grant funds in the past or not. There are still demonstrated effectiveness guidelines, regardless of if you're a current provider or seeking to become a provider. Also, just a little tidbit, this year, outside reviewers are going to be doing all of the scoring and reading of all of the application submissions. So there's not going to be any concern about bias. Everyone that is going to be reviewing has been vetted. They are all either stakeholders in or adult education professionals from outside of our office. Many folks are adult education professionals from across the US, and there are a few folks that are more local that maybe work in another educational institution of some sort or support area, libraries and archives, some different folks like that that have volunteered to help us in this process. And everything is very specifically laid out. I will show you those documents if you would like to see what our rubrics look like. But I'm very fortunate to have had some folks that are very helpful when writing this application to write some very strong rubrics so that all the submissions look the same and the scoring should be very similar across the board for all the applicants. Okay, breaking down this process, this is the timeline that has been published for several months now. Lots of dates here, and I understand that. The official release date was no later than this Friday, January 10th. As I said, things have already been posted, so some of these documents were there as resources. Now all of the documents are available to begin the application process. The next two things are bidders question window and the RFA bidders conference. So this is a requirement of AFLA that we have a timeline for folks interested, whether it's the public just for information or folks that are in the application process, to be able to submit questions officially. All of these questions go to one individual inbox so we can compile everything together. And then at the virtual bidders conference on February 3rd, we will answer all of the questions that we've gotten in writing, as well as any questions that come up in person, any follow-up questions, any continuations of conversations that have been happening. As long as there's not something specific about a person or a place in the questions, I will be making sure that every question, no matter how big or small, gets answered during this bidders conference. And then also it's a requirement that we submit a follow-up and make sure that everyone has access to all of those questions and answers. And that will happen and be posted on the same website by February 10th. So we will be compiling questions throughout the window. We will be answering as many questions as we possibly can during that bidders conference, and then we will put it all in writing and post it by February 10th. And then February 21st comes and the applications are due and the reviewing section starts. So we will take one day to do eligibility screening here at the Office of Adult Education based only on the tables of demonstrated effectiveness. If there is data there to support that they can demonstrate that they have effectively provided these services, they will move forward into the reviewing process. So then the evaluation of the eligible applicants will be by those outside reviewers from February 25th to March 11th. Again, one more day with these applications here in the Office of Adult Education, where we review all of the scores, make sure we have everybody sorted, make sure we have every county accounted for in the eligible applicants. And we will submit to the Education and Labor Cabinet on March 12th for their leadership approval of all of the folks that have demonstrated that they are the choice for that county, that area, whatever it happens to be. We have folks that are providing services for one county and folks that are providing services for 11 counties right now. So depending on who applies for what, that can be a little bit different. But again, we will make sure when that list goes to the Education and Labor Cabinet that every single county has been accounted for. Then on March 19th, those letters will go out and the folks that have won the grant funding will be notified. Finally, it is required that we offer an appeal window, which we're happy to do. The scores will not be changed. Everything is done according to a rubric, so the scores will not be changed, but applicants can feel free if they believe that their application was somehow incorrectly evaluated to submit an official letter on their letterhead. And we will review that for appeals. If we think that it is necessary, we will reevaluate the applications for whatever county or area that they may be appealing for. Again, this will not involve our adult education staff reviewing them. We will have our reviewers on standby that will be able to do tiebreakers or appeal reviews with us if necessary to ensure, again, that everyone is getting equitable scoring across the board. And that is the application process. I know that was a lot. And there's many, many steps in between that we'll be taking as well. But this is your time to ask me questions. I'm going to stop sharing of my slides because I know that this information has already been shared several times, and my good friend Katie Gagel has posted this email account in the chat. And she's also posted the link, which I will share quickly with you all. Our website for adult education is here. You can search for our services, and students can find all of our different types of services here. As I said, you can find a KYAE center, just searching by your county, and that will give you a contact. But the page that you would be looking for all of this information is here, the request for application. Again, this is exactly the language that I shared with you at the top of my presentation to share what is being announced, what grant application is being announced here. Timeline here shares exactly the same deadlines that we discussed. There is registration available for the Bidders Conference. So if you are interested or want to attend the Bidders Conference, it is open. Register there. Your required submission documents, the application itself, as well as budget templates are here with some instructions, as well as all the resources you should need, anything policy related from our program manual, anything related to scoring and the budget narrative rubrics, all here to be able to guide the application process, as well as a really nice applicant checklist that is going to be helpful for everybody to follow along with. So that is our application process. In the interest of being able to actually see you all and answer questions if you have them in the chat, I'm going to stop sharing. And let me know if you have anything. Feel free to email the AFLA Grants 2025 inbox. I will likely be the person that is replying there, so you can always reach me there, or at jamie.taylor@ky.gov. I'm happy to support any questions you all have now, or you can follow up with me at a later time.
Any questions from the group? More than open to unmute, turn the video on, raise your hand, whatever format you'd like. Well, thank you, Adult Education, Dr. Gregory, Dr. Taylor. Thank you for sharing this information. I'm looking at the attendee list. It's a very diverse group. We have businesses, we have local areas, we have representatives, we have a really good group here for this information. And I'm glad you shared a little bit more background on what adult education does currently and what the potential is and what the service is to all the individuals across the Commonwealth.
Well, we appreciate you making time for us as a partner, Alashir, and we will be happy to take any questions. I'll be online, and we look forward to new applications. So if you know of anyone, or if you've worked with anyone, then please pass this information along to them, even just as good information to know from everyone in the workforce. I think it's good information to know. So thank you all very much.
Well, thank you for sharing. Thank you for leadership on it. And we'll turn over to the second part of the program, which is sharing what's been going on in 2024 and look at 2025 from the Kentucky Workforce Innovation Board. For those that weren't on when I started the session, my name is Alashir Barukanoff. I'm the Executive Director of the Kentucky Workforce Innovation Board, KWIB for short. We are primarily a 51% business entity with labor, nonprofit, education, and government at the seat to be able to provide a workforce strategy for the governor, to be able to make sure that individuals attain the highest potential in a career, and for companies to be able to find the most qualified talent here in the Commonwealth. We're very excited for the work that's being done. It completely aligns to the New Kentucky Home Initiative to say we are a state that you can live, prosper, enjoy, and have a good job and be able to grow within that job for attaining the highest potential that you're capable of. And so with that, I am happy to share just a little year in review. I'll pop up my PowerPoint and start the slides, and we'll start from the beginning. And again, I will be happy to answer any questions along the way. Pop them in chat, unmute, ask as you see fit. Welcome any thoughts and process along the way. I want to thank all the board members that are on the line now. Thank you very much for joining. I want to thank the local areas that are on the line because this can't be done without the whole Kentucky system and all of the workforce development partners that are in the work. And above all, to our individuals, to our labor organizations, and to our businesses, because you all are the driving force for workforce development. So what we'll go over today is some of the milestones from 2024. We will talk about the leadership structure of the KWIB. We've had some changes, we've had some additions. I'll hit on some of the committee and work group successes that happened in 2024. Again, as I continue hitting the point, it takes a village, it takes all of us working together for the success. And you'll see that when we go into the committee and work group structure to see how the whole system operates. We'll also highlight the workforce development plan that was approved. This was approved on the federal level by U.S. Department of Labor and U.S. Department of Education for the Commonwealth for the next 4 years. We'll talk about the in-demand sectors that have been identified across last year and solidified in November. We'll talk about the KWIB Strategic Advance, which is the strategic aspect to the whole operation. And then we'll talk about the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act annual narrative, and that is shortened to WIOA, but it really highlights the work of the Department of Workforce Development, which includes the Office for Adult Education, the Career Development Office, the Office for Vocational Rehabilitation, as far as the WIOA system goes, to say this is the work that's being done both on the state level and on the local level, because our 10 local boards provide services for adult, dislocated, and youth clients. So we'll highlight some of those successes. So that's what we'll go over today. And I'll start with the leadership structure and committee and work group successes. So here is a little landscape graphic to showcase our structure. You see the KWIB reporting directly to the governor as far as the strategy, the advancement for workforce development. You see that we are 51% business represented. We have 20% labor. We have workforce populations represented, and we have partners represented. Our newest KWIB chair is Lori Ulrich. She represents Fleming Mason Energy. She was appointed as chair in November. She replaced former chair Kim Menke, and her leadership is essential to the success of the Commonwealth. She used to be our vice chair, now promoted to full chair, and she is taking the board to the next level, and we're excited to have her be part of the group and be part of the leadership structure. Part of our executive committee make up our 4 committee chairs. Our employer engagement committee chair is Beth Davison from the Kentucky Chamber. Our education and attainment committee chair is Johnny Collette from the UK Human Development Institute. Our workforce participation chair, also announced in November, is Dr. Gregory, who you heard recently speak just momentarily ago. And then our resource alignment is Kim Humphrey. She is from the West Kentucky area, and she's with Riverview Coal. She used to be in banking, and it used to be in the community involvement. So she really is taking the aspect of the business ROI had to the work. So these 4 committees are the driving forces behind what we ultimately want to do on the state strategic level. They are the committees that put in place the ideas, the strategies, and say, to be able to succeed, this is what we have to do. And these 4 committees directly align to the ultimate goal of workforce development, and is to get employers engaged. We need employers at all levels to be able to hire, promote, be able to engage in work-based learning, to be able to have apprenticeships, internships, mentorships, to fully be an active player within workforce development. Education attainment, as you all know, that education is critical to growth of individuals, communities, and the state. And that education can be on multiple levels. It's everything from your early childhood education to your secondary education to your post-secondary education to apprenticeships to certificates and badges. It's all levels of education to be able to grow. Workforce participation is a critical aspect. We know for Kentucky to grow, we need to have everyone engaged. We need to have all the individual population pools that have been sidelined to enter the workforce. We know there are many barriers preventing people to get into the workforce system, such as transportation, childcare, and housing. And those are critical things that we need to overcome individually and as a community to be able to get more individuals in the workforce. And finally, resource alignment is an important one because if we don't play well in the sandbox, as the saying goes, but if we don't communicate, collaborate, partner along the way, and able to leverage all the resources available within the workforce development system and even outside, we're not going to be as successful if we're not united. And so the resource alignment is the fourth goal along the way, is the fourth committee. Those four committees are linked to the work groups that are under them. Here you see some of the work groups available. I wanted to highlight the points that the VETS subcommittee work group has been doing, because they have been successful in making sure that we as a Commonwealth and employers in the Commonwealth understand the importance of the veteran talent pool. I want to also highlight the CTE and CTE Perkins leadership group. And CTE stands for Career and Tech Ed under Kentucky Department of Education. And they have been very successful in making sure that all the alignment and the training and certification that go into Career Tech Ed aligns with the work and the demands of the workforce system and the demands that employers have on individuals to make sure that the trainings, the certifications that they're getting is marketable and needed in the market. Sector Strategies is a group that over the last year has went through and fully dived into in-demand sectors. We'll go over that today. And then finally, work-ready communities, that is being also revamped, because we understand communities find work-ready communities as an important initiative, but it really needs to be brought into the current economic structure. And so that activity is happening in 2025. Along the way, I want to highlight our local boards. Our local boards represent 10 different areas in the Commonwealth. They are the primary function to serve individuals that have been dislocated, means they've been laid off from work, individuals that have employment barriers, adults that need extra assistance to get into jobs, and then the youth talent pipeline. Youth is a big category that we'll highlight a little bit later, but the youth aspect is an important one because that's the future of our workforce, and our local boards are critical in serving those population pools, and they are also the epicenter of workforce development in their communities. Their communities turn to the local workforce development boards for ideas, for thought leadership, for convening, for truly to be the beating pulse of workforce development in that specific local area. So wanted to highlight that aspect. And then finally, the Kentucky Education and Workforce Collaborative. It is a sister board to the Kentucky Workforce Innovation Board, and that entity is meant to be the government-led implementer of the strategy that the KWIP presents itself. That entity has focused on various things, such as different population pools, including veterans, including individuals leaving incarceration, including youth, and the next meeting that the Education Workforce Collaborative is going to focus on is going to be the immigrant and refugee population pool. We know those are all critical components and critical masses in Kentucky, and how do we better engage, better have opportunities, and how do we better serve that clientele? So that collaborative is really focused on implementing the strategy, both talent strategy and system strategy. And so that is the structure of our layout and the work that we do, and everyone has an important role to play. And I want to mention to those that are on the line today that if you have not been engaged with us along any of these lines, let us know. Let us connect you to a local board. Let us connect you to any of our committees or work groups. We'd love to get you engaged, get you your thoughts and perspectives in conversation, because we know the more we have, the more diverse thoughts we have, the better we are. With that, I'll go on to the next slide. It's our state board strategy. I kind of covered this briefly with hitting the importance of the 4 committees, because those 4 committees are the 4 goals of our strategy. But ultimately, what we want to do as a state, we want to create a workforce development system that is value-driven for employers, aligns education with industry demands, prepares Kentuckians for the future of work, and drives economic development. We want to be an entity and a system, a state, a commonwealth that is able to get individuals into the best opportunity that they're capable of, with the most education that they're willing to take on, to be able to be a very qualified candidate and a qualified worker for the business that they're engaged with. We know that's one of the key factors to getting out of poverty, to getting out of endless cycles of incarceration, to getting out of things that prevent you from becoming your full self, is employment. And we want to get individuals to that level, and we want to get companies all the tools that they can have from the workforce development system to be able to recruit as many people as they need to be successful in their activities. And so the strategy is an important component, and our value and our vision statement is listed below with the 4 goals to get us there. So as we look at last year, and as we look at what's coming up, so we know that the current economic landscape it's the best that it's ever been, right? We know that in the last 4 years, there's been more than $35 billion invested in the Commonwealth, creating close to 60,000 new jobs for Kentuckians. We're thankful for the Beshear administration for really driving this force for us, because what this offers is the best opportunity to attain the high quality, good paying jobs for Kentuckians. The incentivized hourly wage through economic development topped $26 since 2022. That is an awesome wage. That is an ability for individuals to attain more than they have. And that is something that to be proud of, because we know that Kentuckians are capable of so many things, and we know and we see companies all over the world see that aspect and invest in the Commonwealth. And this also leads to an opportunity to have equitable pathways to good quality jobs. This gives an opportunity for individuals to be selective of where they want to go into. They can pick from the occupations, the sectors, the pathways that they take, the education that they can take to get to those places in life. This is a really good opportunity for individuals to attain those quality jobs. And so we're very proud of, and we must, as a system, take this opportunity to help the individuals get there and help make the connections and reduce those barriers when they exist. And as mentioned below, this provides a good position for us to think through all those untapped talent pools, such as disconnected youth, such as justice involved, citizens with disabilities, veterans and their families. When we talk about Fort Knox and Fort Campbell, it's not only the individuals that are transitioning out, it's their families, it's their spouses and children. Those are critical population pools that we need to say, hey, Kentucky is a great place for you to live and work and make the best life. So this is a really good time to do so. It is also a good time to get individuals with limited literacy and those that are not well established with the English language. It creates a really good opportunity to get more people into the workforce system because we know the jobs are there. We know that they're well paid. We know that there's upward mobility. So this is really a good time to invest in the people and the companies that are doing the good work. So that's kind of the landscape that we're in. That's what we're operating under. And so given that information, what we've done last year is we submitted our workforce plan to Department of Labor and Department of Education to be able to say, when we look at the future, this is what we want to attain. The key underlining strategy for the plan are the four goals of the system, the four committees that are doing the work. It's making sure employers are engaged, education attainment is upfront, that we get more people in the workforce system, and then our resources are aligned. You may think I'm a broken record by sharing those four goals, but they come up left and right as critical needs to make sure that we are successful. So that was one of the key things for our workforce plan. Our second thing was we wanted to make sure our workforce plan came from the grassroots, from the ground up. And we wanted to hear from local stakeholders. We actually went to all 10 local areas, had specific listening sessions. We broke out businesses. We wanted to hear from businesses. We wanted to hear from elected officials, such as the county judge executives, the mayors, the commissioners and council members, the jailers. We wanted to hear from community-based organizations. We wanted to hear from system partners. And finally, we wanted to hear from those individuals that are connected to the workforce system, that are coming to the Kentucky Career Center. We wanted to hear from these four distinct stakeholders, and we're very thankful to our local boards because they were the conveners for these visits, and we actually had over 33 focus groups and had individuals, close to 350 individuals participated. And what that brought to us is really an underlining theme: what's important to them, what is important to them as stakeholders in workforce development, stakeholders in their communities, to be able to drive workforce development. I'm going to share some of the highlights that we talked about, but ultimately one of the biggest strengths that came out of this is collaboration is the critical driver. We all have various programs that we do. We have various population pools that we serve. But if we're not collaborating, if we're not able to get out of those silos, we're not as strong as we could be. And I know that's an intentional work that we all have to partake in, because it's easy to go into the niche that you're designed to do and serve the population or the program that you know. But until we are able to find those common areas, we could be more successful when we do that. And that was the underlying theme. So what I'll do is I'll cover some of the key highlights from the workforce development plan based on what we heard from the listening sessions. And I don't think they'll be a surprise to you, but I just want to make sure you guys have an understanding, because that is kind of what's driving us. That's what's making workforce development move forward, are those thoughts that were raised. So again, I told you we went to all 10 local areas. We're able to have focus groups. We heard from everyone. We wrote it down. Then we looked for common themes. The first common theme that rose to the top was youth employment. The understanding that exposure to careers as young as possible is a very critical thing. It's the ability to get into the school system as early as middle school, and even younger, to say these are all the careers that are available to you. It's the ability to be able to share the various ships, the apprenticeships, mentorships, internships at the right level, but the ability to expose youth to all the careers that are available out there, that was raised to the top. There's technologies such as the VR goggles that could be used. There's programming like Bus to Business that could be utilized. There's opportunities for companies to come visit the schools, or for schools to come visit the companies. There's many ways to expose individuals to careers, and that was just a highlight of that. Work-based learning, I just mentioned the three ships: apprenticeships, internships, mentorships. that is a way to really get individuals that experience early enough for them to build a resume, to understand what they like, what they don't like, to be able to engage with the workforce system, to be able to learn those soft, uh, essential skills that every company is asking for early on. It was also mentioned that parents and teachers need the same exposure to careers as youth do, because a lot of times parents and teachers do not know all the opportunities that are available. We know manufacturing is a critical sector in the Commonwealth, but manufacturing is not your grandfather's factory anymore. It's clean, it is robotic, it has evolved over the time frame, and sometimes that understanding does not transition over to our stakeholders. We also need to recognize there are good jobs in every industry. One of the things that was brought up is the dignity of work, the ability, the value of work. It was mentioned that the youth may not understand that aspect, but they need to understand you can have a good job in every industry because you can grow in many of the industries. So that aspect is important. And then reach kids before they become opportunity youth. And opportunity youth are the youth that are not going through any education, that are not engaged in any employment. They are the stereotypical sit on the couch, play video games. That vision is an opportunity youth, but that opportunity youth can even become more, I guess, more drastic if they start getting into any criminal activity or any other kind of non-growth activities that won't let them succeed in education or work. And so how do we reach kids before they kind of have that struggle point of not going forward? Various programming does exist across the Commonwealth. We have Everybody Counts. It's the governor's initiative that started a couple years ago. It is moving forward with school counselors in place. We know the Kentucky Department of Education is very active in this aspect to get kids involved in various career tech ed and other activities. And we have our local boards who have received funding from the General Assembly that are focusing in on this specific aspect of reaching youth early on. So there is definitely bright spots looking forward, but we know that youth became a big priority through our state plan, and the wider talent pipeline was important. I'm looking at the time and it's getting to the last 10 minutes, and I'll continue to move forward. Another thing that was mentioned was the business engagement. We need businesses engaged across the line. We need them to be able to do workforce and work-based learning. We also need to engage more small and medium-sized companies. Kentucky is home to over 200,000 companies. And how do we make sure that everyone understands all the services offered in the workforce development ecosystem? We need to collaborate more. The Kentucky Career Center is a critical place for collaboration. That's where people go. That's where companies go to look for talent. We need to truly embrace the employment office of that aspect. And then finally, we heard the various barriers to employment, childcare, transportation, and affordable housing. The solution to this is not easy, but the solution to this comes from the local, state, and federal level. When we talk about work-ready communities and the 2025 rendition of it, it's going to be able to highlight what are the local assets to help address these things. I've been across Kentucky, various locations have taken up their local approach to this. And I think as this becomes more and more critical, we will have more and more opportunities to find localized solutions, state solutions, and then ultimately federal solutions to address this. Want to highlight the third milestone for 2024, and it's the selection of sectors and demand sectors. We call it sector strategies because to be able to attain success, we need a strategy for each of the sectors. To be able to have strategies for each of the sectors, we need to have in-demand sectors. The process took both a quantitative and a qualitative approach. Data was utilized from KY Stats and addressed by businesses, board members. and then the qualitative group that involved different education and training partners reviewed the data. Ultimately, the data looked at what jobs are in demand, growing, and have a living wage, and those jobs and occupations were walked over into the sectors that they belong to. Ultimately, these 5 sectors have been identified and voted on by the Kentucky Workforce Innovation Board. They include healthcare, manufacturing and logistics, construction, education, professional, scientific, and technical services. Now, you see that education and professional, scientific, and technical services are not the same sectors that we saw previously. These are new sectors being added, and they are sectors that are growing, have demand, and have wages that associate themselves with living standards. I want to quickly highlight the importance of professional, scientific, and technical services because that sector is new. It is one that we might not understand as well as we understand the other 4. That sector includes many occupations. It includes computer support specialists. It includes analysts. It includes paralegals. It includes many of the support back office type of roles that are growing even in great length. And I want to highlight another aspect to all these 5 sectors. There are multiple entry points. There's no education entry points. There's some education entry points. There are entry points with apprenticeships. There are entry points with a bachelor's degree, and there are entry points with even a higher advanced degree. So there's multiple avenues to go into these sectors and hopefully grow into those sectors. In course of time, I want to highlight our 4th milestone is we had our strategic gathering, which involved our Kentucky Workforce Innovation Board, our Education Workforce Collaborative Board, and our local workforce development area chairs. We highlighted the different aspects of the 4 committees and the 4 goals, and some of the things that came out of that are the importance of work-based learning, the importance of building a teacher pipeline, the importance of sharing our stories and sharing the stories of those individuals that have entered the workforce system, and the importance of collaboration and indicators that we can all share across the board. So this is, as we look in 2025, the big strategy for us is going to be able to put all those thoughts that came out of this gathering, all the thoughts that came out of our workforce development plan, and put it into a business plan type of strategy document that we will hope you all can consume and be able to work with us to drive workforce development system forward. And then finally, our final milestone for 2024 was the ability to highlight our annual narrative. And that is specifically to the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act partners to share all the services that's been done. Here, I'm just highlighting the various population pools that the WIOA says that we need to serve, and the system, the WIOA Department of Workforce Development system, has served many individuals and will continue growing that. In addition to that, serving the employers that are hiring these population pools. You can read the whole narrative online. We'll drop a link for you to see. And with that, I just wanted to finalize that reach out to us. My name's Alice Shear, Debbie Dennison. She's our Deputy Executive Director. We're here to support you, and thank you all for joining today's session and to be able to hear on all things that are happening both in the world of adult education and allow me to highlight the successes of 2024. I know I didn't hit as many things that have been out there, but I see community college systems on the line. I see businesses and various education entities. It doesn't happen alone. It happens as a system. We all have successes, and we love for you all to share them with us. We want to highlight your successes. So don't be a stranger and share them with us as you can. But I'll take the last 2 minutes for any questions, any thoughts, anything you all want to share. Well, Hopefully I didn't bore you too much during this lunch hour, but thank you all for everything you do. We'll continue to highlighting the successes of the workforce development system, and please join us next month, the first Wednesday at noon, and every month, the Wednesday at noon, as we highlight partners and the things that you all can benefit from. And I hope you all have a great 2025. Reach out throughout the year, and we're very glad you all participate today. Thank you very much. Take care.